Perfect. Well, hi, Sean. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing okay, thanks. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks for talking with me today. Congrats on the
Of
film.
course, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to ask you about. It's interesting that Antonio Campos, your friend and former classmate at NYU, also has a movie coming out this week. Uh,
Yeah,
do,
crazy timing.
yeah, I was gonna say, does that make you a little bit happy that you guys both kind of have films going up against each other, or is that just, or do you have a little bit of competitive edge?
Oh, God, no, I would never see it as going up against each other. Yeah, I don't believe in that for films. Yeah, I think it's just amazing that totally by chance that it's happened this way. It's great.
Yeah. Well, both films are great, so it's kind of even,
Thanks.
yeah. So it's even more like shows about amazing talent that you guys are surrounded by. Um,
Thank you.
what can you talk to me about writing the script for The Nest? I mean, I realized
Sure.
I read that it started in 2014, but did you ever hit a point where you wanted to scrap it or take a different direction with it?
Well, I started writing it, and I was working on a lot of other things. I had a couple of other movies along the way that I thought would probably come first. And so what happened naturally was I would write for 6 months, and then I would put it down, work on other stuff, come back to it, do another draft. And then my daughter was born, and I think I took close to a year off
Yeah.
around that time and came back to it with a whole set of new knowledge as a parent. So it was this thing that kind of rode beside me, and I would work on it in spurts, but the sort of rest between, I think, was, and the life that I was living alongside really fed into it, and so once, yeah, I think in like 2017, I picked it up again and just did a new draft. I can't remember why. I was just quite something must have clicked for me, and I did a draft and shared it with Rose Garnett, who had been developing it with me for the whole time, and she's my producer on the film, and we just felt it was ready and it was the right time, and so we started building the team around it then.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and talk about this relationship with your two actors, Carrie Coon and Jude Law. I mean, can you tell me a little bit about how you got them on the project, and did the characters change once you had them cast to play the husband and wife?
Yeah. I uh, yeah, just I work really closely with my casting directors, and so would have had conversations about who to go to, and yeah, shared the script with both of them, and they both responded really well, and then it's just about having that conversation. With Carrie, I felt like I needed someone who could capture the duality of Allison. She's very clearly, these she's many things, but she's these two things that are typically in a movie you'd see one or the other. She's this, very grounded, hardworking, physical horse person, and she's also, completely comfortable putting on the fur coat, going out and having a ridiculous dinner that
Right.
she can't afford.
Right.
So it's I needed someone who's going to bridge that and make that one cohesive thing, and I just felt like she had the power to do that, and she responded and loved that about it. So, there's and then with Jude, it was similar, and I shared it, and he was here and we met, and from the beginning he was always asking the same question I was, which is that no matter what Rory does, we have to know that he thinks he's doing the best thing,
Right.
even though he's not. Like he thinks he's doing what's right and best, and so Jude has this massive heart and warmth, and so I felt like he would really have that, and he worked to just have that underneath the surface at all times, and I think that's a part of what's successful about it. And so, for me, there's always a handoff when I give the script to the actors. I say, "This is yours now,"
Yeah.
and I think everyone brings their own experience and their own details to it along the way. So I don't think there was any sort of major changes once it came on, but it's always that sort of personal thing that the actor brings, and I'm really open to that. And those little things that we find that become theirs.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's been interesting for me to watch both of your films. I find they highlight sort of humans who hide behind facades. I mean, there's kind of this, like with cults, there's also a search for belonging in something. Did you find, like, whether it's writing the script, do you find it's like seeking for a sense of belonging that drives humans? I mean, is that sort of what you've detailed from both of these films?
Maybe, yeah, maybe just finding a sense of place, finding a sense of belonging, finding a safety.
Yeah.
A safety in family. Like, what is the safety of a nest? How do you create that?
Right.
If that's not given to you from birth. I think those are absolutely things that I'm interested in, and the effects that has on the individual, and how everyone's affected differently by their experiences, and the processing of that. How they process it, how they act out.
Right.
Absolutely, and where they go to find those comforts, or the shells, the masks they build to hide from them.
Yeah, I mean, well, and also too, I mean, what I wanted to talk about the house that you have that they move into in London. I mean, this is, a movie that kind of I was thinking of when I saw the house was The Haunting in a lot of ways. That It's this massive home that's like impossible to fill every room. Can you talk about how you found this location and where it was located, and what sort of your goal was to capture the atmosphere of this massive mansion?
Yeah, I needed a place that was gonna embody Rory's dreams, and say, okay, this is too much. This is not a better life than you had before. And to capture this bigger is better mentality that was really heralded at the time, and probably still is.
Yeah.
And so we needed to find a place to capture that, but it also needed to have a sort of potential and elegance to it. So we started searching, and there's a sort of size of a house in this part of England that is like what a successful trader in Rory's position might have.
Yeah.
And it's really impressive and all that, but we needed something a step above that. But we couldn't have something that was a castle, because some of the houses we looked at were actually castles, small castles. And so, so we landed. And the other part of it was we needed a place with a lot of open space inside.
Right.
And a lot of these huge houses look great from the outside, but then you get inside and they're just a collection of single rooms with no hallways and no open social spaces. And so we needed to have that blend, because I wanted to be able to see through to multiple rooms, and to always feel like there was something around the corner, and to really create the emptiness of the place. So that was that's what drove finding that, and it was a really difficult balance, and we're very lucky to find that place. It was a very special location.
Yeah, when I wanted to ask you too, sort of about just even the creative process once you sort of get into the space and you start shooting, the film. Is it an organic process of what you want the film to look like, or do you reference any films that are favorites of yours that inspire how you want to shoot the film, or is that more during the writing process? Do you watch a collection of your favorite movies and then you say, oh, I'd kind of like to pick off of that?
I think it happens gradually. I think going through the process of writing, I start a story and find something and then you get stuck always in the writing process.
Right.
Like, okay, I'll look for some inspiration, and sometimes it will come from searching, sometimes it will come from somewhere unexpected. But I think here, one of the big touchstones for me was discovering Shoot the Moon,
Uh-huh.
the Alan Parker film from the early 80s. I'd never heard of it. I was telling someone about what I was doing, and they said, you got to watch Shoot the Moon. And I watched it, and I think it's the best family drama I've ever seen, and I couldn't believe I hadn't heard of it. And so that really became, a big moment for me.
Yeah.
And just seeing that family unfold in this amazing way, and figuring out how, what the next iteration of their life is, or do they stay together, do they not? And that became, and then also, The Ice Storm is also another great family drama.
Yeah.
That was definitely an inspiration. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, those are. That's Ang Lee's work with family dramas tend to capture that, which is, I think, really hard. But I wanted to ask you too about working with the horse. Those scenes obviously probably were really tough. I don't know if you've worked with a lot of animals before. Was that something that you that came easy, or was it difficult to get those scenes with the horse? Because I think obviously the horse is kind of almost like a MacGuffin figure. It's kind of a symbol of representation of this family. Was that something that was easy, or how did that go for you?
Yeah, I mean,
sorry to interrupt, Leo, but if we could just make this the last question because we're at time.
Yeah, perfect, no problem.
Yeah, we just had really good horse people. In England, we used Devil's Horsemen, and they're like the premier horse company, and it's just amazing people. And so they kind of do they do the work for you. It just becomes about shooting it and telling what you want, and they're just so good. And leaning on them for, the specificity of, like, does the stable feel right? Do the details feel right?
Right.
And Carrie learned to ride, and so it's not particularly hard when you have good people who are making sure you're doing it right. You know, and so it was a great experience. I mean,
yeah, beautiful animal.
yeah, really.
So. All right, Sean. Well, thanks so much for talking. I thought it was a fantastic film.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I love the performances,
really
and hopefully you make your next one a little bit quicker, because you're 2 for 2 right now.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, Sean. Thanks.
Take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Leo.
Thank you.
Can I